Another exhibitor you will meet at the forthcoming Midlands 103 Green Home and Energy Show is TMSG. And if you're wondering what that is, well, the men with the answers are Ian Scouler, who is the Managing Director, and also Mick Clarke, who is the Business Development Manager. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
TMSG, Underfloor Heating Solutions. Tell us more.
Yes, well, TMSG itself is a company that's actually established since the 1930s originally, so a long time around. But we've built the company up over the years on diversification, and we got involved in the construction side of the business some years ago with industrial plastics. And now we see a big opportunity in underfloor heating because, as everyone knows, new houses need to be built. You can't build those houses with fireplaces and fossil fuels anymore, and you've got to heat those homes in some way.
And can we explain the term? Because some people will be very technically aware and others will just have a vague understanding.
Sure.
What is underfloor heating?
Well, what we're selling is a plate system, and very simply, the plate comes in different thicknesses, has a foil top. You lay a flexible pipe in a snake-like fashion through the plate. But what's good about ours is it's so easy to install. So if you can imagine the canvas of a blank room, you literally go in and lay the plates across the floor in a jigsaw fashion. So in some respects, it could be laid by the person themselves. But where our opportunity we really find is on the retro side of the business, because we've gone to so many shows now. I think Mick will tell you, 450 people have come across the stands. And I naively thought myself that everybody coming to the show would just be coming up and they're building a new house. And I was amazed. I would say 45 to 50% of the people that came on the stand were retrofitting. And I spoke to a man at the Limerick show, and he said to me, yeah, I get that. I can see why. And I said, why? And he says, well, think about it. You can't afford to buy a new home today if they're available. You've got your children coming back to live in the home that you're in already, which is actually the same for me as I speak to you. And people then have to retrofit their homes in some way to accommodate that. And underfloor, as a heating system, is probably one of the best ways of heating a home. And this system that we're selling, and it's one of the points that we wanted to get across in this interview, is that we offer a solution that will allow retrofits. And most of the people coming on that stand just simply did not know that was possible. And that's what we'd like then to get that message out, spread the gospel, so to speak.
So you distribute the heat in a very different way to the conventional radiators. But what's the source of that heat?
In terms of underfloor heating, standard underfloor heating with Ireland is what they call thermal mass heating. So within what they call a dry solution, your pipes are fitted underneath a slab of concrete. So your heat is emanating from your concrete. With the boards that we're doing, your underfloor heating panels are fitted very close to the underside of your floor with retrofit, and the heat is actually radiant heat. So when you're talking about existing radiators, your radiator will heat from roughly about 600 mil above the floor, and it's radiant heat which travels up around your ceiling and back down, but starts to cool. So always from about 600 up, you feel that heat. With underfloor heating, the heat is emanating from underneath your floor, and what that does is it's radiant heat. All your furnitures, all your fittings and everything will heat up to get that ambient temperature within the room. Retrofitting of underfloor heating as well gives you a lot of control over your heating. The systems that we put in, they're up to full temperatures when you turn them on within about 20 to 25 minutes. It will retain that heat when you turn your heating off. So within the maritime climate that we live in Ireland, you have a lot of control over the dry install underfloor heating that's there. So you can turn it on like your radiators. But again, the flow temperature, as we mentioned earlier on, your flow temperature for underfloor heating is roughly around 35 degrees. The flow temperature for existing radiators at the moment is up around 65 to 70 degrees. For every drop in temperature from your flow temperature, you get a saving of roughly between 2 and 2.5%. So in order to run underfloor heating, as opposed to running radiators, you could have a saving of 35 to 40% on your energy costs. And the beauty of that is that that's week on week, month on month, year on year. So the benefits are real in terms of cost of living and being able to reduce your energy consumption as well.
So payback, I know it'll be very subjective, but typically how many years are you looking at?
In terms of the installation of these products, you could be looking at probably 6 to 7 years. Your energy savings on that will pay back for the installation of these products.
Now, I'm thinking of my own home, and we've click laminate flooring down, so there isn't very much room for panels. How thick are they? How do you navigate that piece?
The panels, so we've 3 major systems. So when you're looking at ground floors, what we use is an extruded XPS system, which is a very, very strong, very compact insulation system. As Ian mentioned, it's foiled and grooved. So these come at a 25 mil. So your pipes are actually grooved and set into that 25 mil panel. When you move upstairs or when you're looking at reducing the height loss within that, we have encapsulated systems which run from 18 to 38 mil. So a low board 2 system can only take up 20 mil in total, and then you can fit your finished floor directly on top of that. If you're looking at a structural system which can be fitted on a first floor or an upper level floor, this can be fitted directly on top of your joists with a combined, it comes in at 30 mil overall, but it's a structural system that again you can lay carpet, you can lay vinyl, anything straight on top of it.
Because actually that nearly answers this question from a mum who says, I've a toddler who's crawling around on all fours. It's not hot enough to do damage.
No.
No.
It actually lends itself to that. Because you have to go back to the 2 systems. Radiation system is convection, so it's actually heating the airspace, and and you have to run that rad very hot. Whereas we're not doing that. We have a mass heat system, which is radiation transfer, so it's nice and consistent and can be ran at a much lower level. So that lady's question is interesting, because we actually had people come to us that had autistic children that would be very attracted to running off and touching that radiator, and this is a much more well-being environment if you're running an underfloor system.
The floor temperature with underfloor heating systems, and it again ties into this lady's question, that your floor temperature would be roughly in the region of about 27 degrees, which is the same temperature as the palm of your hands. So you won't you won't find it. If you're looking at a radiator, which is again running at 60, 65 degrees, you've more danger of burning from a radiator than you have from underfloor heating.
Yeah.
And then as for what you layer on top of it, carpet, vinyl, laminate, are there some materials more efficient to use than others?
Just depending on the system. So again, with your XPS system, you would look at timber flooring and tiling can be put directly onto it. If you're looking at a vinyl or a carpet on a ground floor, again, you would need a protective deck to go on top of it. But the XPS or the encapsulated systems, which are low board 2 and Tor floor 2, you can fit almost any floor covering directly on top of those.
No, you're not restricted, and when you asked the question before about thicknesses, the range is 18 up to 30, so it's very flexible. You've got options all around.
And is it eligible within the retrofit grant scheme?
It's something that we're looking into at the moment. What you get within the SSAI grant schemes there are grants for upgrade of your heating systems. So from talking to the one-stop shops, this would tie in with the grant systems which are provided for the heating costs. And again, we're looking into kind of talking to these one-stop shop systems,
Those guys.
Yeah. To be able to educate and to let people know that these systems are available and that you can retrofit an underfloor heating, and you also can apply an underfloor heating to upper levels of floors as well.
Well, one question you did ask earlier, Will, was about the heat source, and we didn't quite cover that. Your heat source can come from any heat source, but I think one of the big things to understand is that if that heat source has to run a rad, say between 60 and 70 degrees, it has to use an amount of energy to get to that level. Whereas if you ask your heat source to run between 30 and 35, it's running a lot lower, and that's the whole point. And I think as the stat was given, every 1 degree down you save 2.5% in energy, but comfortably you should be able on average to save 25% over a period of time, and that's where it's going to cut in at lower running costs.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Want to hear more? And you will be at the Midlands 103 Green Home and Energy Show, 23rd of February, Tullamore Court Hotel.
We will.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks,
Thank you, Will.
Thank you.